Welcome everyone to my new video on YouTube. As we all know, the FIFA World Cup is approaching and I thought to make a video about the World Cup, and we are going to take a look today whether or not the Oceania Football Confederation deserves to have a guaranteed spot for the FIFA World Cup, because we all know that Oceania is by far the weakest football confederation in the world, and it will be interesting to see if there are any capable teams strong enough to challenge New Zealand for a spot leading to the qualification of the upcoming World Cup in North America. As most of the football fans know, Oceanian teams have had two memorable performances at two World Cup editions. Back in 2006, Australia, then as member of OFC, managed to reach the round of 16, the first team from that confederation that managed to make it past the group stage of the World Cup, and ended up losing on a controversial game versus the soon to be world champions Italy, with a controversial penalty that was given to the Italians. And of course, at 2010, the outstanding performance of the New Zealand team, which managed to leave the tournament unbeaten with 3 draws, including one against the defending champions of that time, Italy. And since then, since the 2010 World Cup edition, unfortunately, we haven't had a team from Oceania participating at a World Cup event. And based on the new format and what FIFA eventually decided to do, give Oceania a guaranteed spot at the upcoming World Cup in North America, it will be interesting to see if some other team, and not the usual strongest powerhouse of that confederation, New Zealand, will be able to make it at the upcoming World Cup in 2026. It will be interesting to know if Australia will decide to return back to Oceania for the qualification round for the upcoming FIFA World Cup 2026, which is going to take place in North America, Mexico, Canada, and the US. Because we all know that the only strong challenger that can manage to give Australia some hard time at that zone, at that football zone, is New Zealand. And New Zealand, they don't have a fully professional football league yet, which would make the job pretty much extremely easy for Australia to always qualify at every World Cup event. And we also have to take a look at the other small islands in Oceania, if they are going to be capable enough to challenge New Zealand and Australia for World Cup glory. But in a few words, if Australia will decide to join the OFC once again, we are always going to have this great rivalry between Australia and New Zealand for the World Cup spot. And I hardly can imagine that New Zealand could ever again qualify at the World Cup because the football in Australia, in terms of professional development, it's extremely better compared to the football scene in New Zealand, because we all know that there is only one fully professional football club in New Zealand, which is the Wellington Phoenix, playing at the Australian First Football League. And now let's take a look at the potential of other OFC teams capable to challenge New Zealand for a World Cup spot. Without a doubt, the first national team that comes to my mind is Tahiti or French Polynesia. Who can forget their memorable 2012 OFC Nations Cup triumph when they beat the New Caledonia at the final and became the first national team other than Australia and New Zealand to win the greatest prize in Oceanian national football. And they also had an outstanding performance at the 2013 FIFA Confederations Cup, scoring a memorable goal against Nigeria at the group stage. But despite that one-hit wonder, we could say, I don't believe that Tahiti has great potential. In fact, I don't believe that none of the other teams at the Oceanian zone have a really good potential to dethrone New Zealand from the top of the confederation and make it at the World Cup, because New Zealand hasn't lost a qualifying game since 2000 since the 2014 qualification round. And yeah, French Polynesia or Tahiti, who knows, maybe they can surprise us again and produce a really strong team in the future, capable enough to write history as they did back in 2012 and 2013. Let us wait and see. And what about the other small islands in the Confederation? Well, quite strong teams, I could argue, are New Caledonia and the Fiji Islands, because those two teams, alongside New Zealand and Australia, are the only four teams from this confederation that have managed to make it at the top 100 of the FIFA World Rankings. And New Caledonia also played at the final of the 2012 Oceania Nations Cup edition, in which they lost against Tahiti. And maybe the Solomon Islands, we could argue, have also a pretty strong team for Oceania standards. They finished at the fourth place back in the 2012 edition. Papua New Guinea was also finalist at the 2016 Oceania Nations edition, ending up losing on penalties versus New Zealand. But to be honest, I strongly believe that only Tahiti, based on their performance at the 2013 FIFA Confederations Cup against strong nation teams such as Spain, Nigeria, and Uruguay, and their outstanding 2012 OFC Nations Cup triumph, I believe that only Tahiti has the greatest potential to dethrone New Zealand and make history as the third team from that confederation to qualify at the upcoming World Cup in North America, unless Australia will decide to join the football zone, return back to its roots, and then pretty much we are always going to have this great rivalry between Australia and New Zealand. And with Australia, to be honest, ending up qualifying for every future World Cup event for the aforementioned reasons, as I said before, because football, apart from New Zealand, in other small islands in Oceania, it is not very popular and developed at all, because we have to keep in mind most of the islands in Oceania are not high income developed economies. Maybe apart from New Zealand, Cook Islands and okay, New Caledonia to a certain degree, but most of the other nations participating at the OFC qualification, World Cup qualification round, and at the other OFC events are low income economies, extremely bad developed financially and in terms of human development. They're pretty low. And yeah, not sure what the future bring, will have in store for Oceanian football, but it is a confederation in which the the sport is not very popular, and I believe it would be a really pointless idea to give by FIFA to give OFC a guaranteed spot for the upcoming World Cups. But I'm curious. I'm curious to know how the qualification round will is is going to be for every confederation for the World Cup in North America at 2026, with an expansion of 48 teams. I believe it would make more sense for OFC teams to challenge with teams for the Asian Football Confederation zone for spots at the World Cup, But yeah, let us wait and see what decisions will eventually FIFA make about the structure of the qualification round for the upcoming World Cup. Thanks for watching my video, football fans. I'll be looking forward to your comments whether or not the OFC deserves a permanent spot for upcoming World Cup events and whether or not Australia must join the OFC once again, with the confederation having a guaranteed spot for upcoming World Cup events. That's it for now, folks. Enjoy the FIFA World Cup event at Qatar. I'll see you soon. Goodbye for now.